NFL trade predictions here at NFL Daily, and today's show is presented by Magic Spoon. If you haven't tried Magic Spoon's awesome cereal yet, you need to go ahead and go to magicspoon.com/chat, where you guys can save $5 off on your very first order. 13 grams of protein, only 4 grams of net carbs, 0 grams of sugar. So here you're going to find 5 big-name players. They are Deshaun Watson, Tua Tagovailoa, Marlon Mack, Brandin Cooks, and the last name is Kyle Fuller. Yes, I got it. I'm going to try to give you guys the top destinations for those 5 dudes and then tell you where they're going to end up getting dealt if they do, in fact, get traded. The first player coming up here is, well, probably the biggest name that you're going to see on today's video. It's Deshaun Watson, and to no surprise, there's been multiple reports out there that many different teams have at least shown some interest in Watson. Now, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier in today in the office, where we're like, I wonder how much actual interest there is, or if it's the Texans just reporting like, oh yeah, we're getting a lot of interest from a lot of other NFL teams. That way, you kind of create a little bit of a bidding war. Roger Goodell did say some interesting things today where he said Watson isn't going on the commissioner's exempt list, so if he is hypothetically traded, he can literally play. And then Watson, though, still facing those 22 allegations. The reason why we're talking about it is because I said probably before the season started that he was a top 5 quarterback. And considering the fact that he's under the age of 26 years old, coming off a year where he led the NFL with 4,823 yards, he also had 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's a very good quarterback in a very bad organization. But he can also run the ball, too. He had 90 carries last year, 444 yards, 3 touchdowns. I believe he also had over like 30 first down runs. He can just beat you in so many different ways, and obviously, if it wasn't for the allegations, there would be so many teams right now potentially going out and looking for a player a lot like Watson. So this is what Chat Sports is all about. News, rumors, and this week, we are all about trades. Will Deshaun Watson get traded before the NFL trade deadline? I want you to go ahead and type Y for yes, or I want you to go down in the comments and spam N for no. What I decided to do is, before I tell you which team I think is going to go out and trade for Watson, if he is in fact dealt, here are the top 5 destinations. I think the Denver Broncos still going to be in that equation because I don't think Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock are the long-term answers. Philadelphia has had some past interest in Watson. The football team, Carolina, I really think is maybe the most perfect fit, but apparently they're not interested in him this year. And then it's the Miami Dolphins as well. So if Watson is traded, which team do you think he lands on? Is it one of the 5 teams that I just talked about? Is it another team that you're like, you know what? No, Mitch, this is the team that would go out and get Deshaun Watson. So if he's traded, which team do you think he lands on? My prediction, Deshaun Watson, if he's dealt, is going to end up on the Miami Dolphins. This one just makes too much sense. There's been plenty of rumors that Miami and Houston have been in trade talks. There's reports out there that Watson will only waive his no-trade clause for the Dolphins, which is a very big deal. And Miami has tons of draft capital, and I understand he's got all these allegations, but it does sound like Houston still wants a lot in return. Remember a few months ago, apparently they wanted 3 first-round picks, like 3 second-round picks, and then I believe it was 2 quality starters. They're not going to get that now, but Miami does have quality starters. They have some quality players, and they have plenty of draft capital. So that's my very first of my 4 predictions. Now, before I get into my other 4 ones, I do want you guys to just take a second and make sure that you're subscribed to Chat Sports. That way you can join all of our live shows. We do NFL, NBA. We go live Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, breaking news. This week is very, very important, though, to hit that notification bell underneath this video. That way you don't miss anything, because if a big-time trade does go down, we're going to keep you guys updated. Now, some of you might not know how to go ahead and turn on the notification bell. Luckily for you, I'm going to walk you through how to do it on your mobile device and on your desktop. So you see this little circle over here? That's literally where the bell would look like if you were on your phone right now watching one of our videos. You can go ahead and click that. And then you can go ahead and click all. That way you never miss a thing. Also, take a second and realize that Tom looks like he's just about to have the largest sneeze of his entire life. Now, maybe you're on desktop and you don't know how your phone works. Dad, I'm looking at you. You can also do it like this. You click the notification bell right where that arrow is. And then I made this gigantic because when I look at my dad's phone, it looks like his text messages are about to jump off the screen, just in case you can't see. Then you click the bell that says all. Once you do that, you will not miss any videos here from Chat Sports. Subscribe and turn on those noties, because if this next guy gets dealt, oh man, we are definitely going live. His name is Tua Tagovailoa, and with all the Deshaun Watson deals, all the Deshaun Watson crap going on, and let's face it, if the Dolphins go out and trade for Deshaun, Tua Tagovailoa is on his way out. And I understand that Tua has kind of said that he doesn't want to be dealt, but when he was asked today how he felt about the Dolphins, it was a very strange answer. All he had to say was this, that yes, I feel wanted here. Instead, he said, I don't feel wanted, right? Hang on, Jeremy's going to chime in.
He said, I don't not feel wanted.
That kind of seems like, yeah, he's not really confident in his stance right now with Miami, and I can kind of understand that from his side, and I can kind of understand it from the Dolphins side. I mean, let's face it, you were drafted number 5 overall, and the numbers that you see over here are his stats: 69.5, 835 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. There's some glimpses where you're like, okay, this kid can ball out. And there's other glimpses you're like, well, maybe that didn't work. I'll also say it really, really hurts that the pick after him has been Justin Herbert, who's been just an absolute dog. Rookie of the year as a freshman. Rookie of the year last season, and then he's been really good this season as well. But Tua in last season, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 1,814 yards. And I can kind of face it and say that, let's be real, Ryan Fitzpatrick was clearly a better quarterback for Tua, and I know a lot of Miami Dolphins fans at this point are like, man, I'm sick of this kid, the injuries, he's not that good, it's time to get him out of here. So what says you? Will Tua get traded? I want you to type T for trade, or I want you to go ahead and I want you to say, you know what, I think he's going to end up staying in Miami, and that's totally fine. If he is dealt, here I believe are his top 5 destinations: the Washington football team, the New Orleans Saints, the Houston Texans, the Denver Broncos, and the Atlanta Falcons. So before I tell you where I think that Tua could potentially get dealt to, you guys can let me know if a team out there is like, you know what, all right, Miami just traded for Deshaun, now it's time to go ahead and trade Tua. Which team do you think he ends up going on? This one was really difficult for me, but I'm going to go ahead and say if he gets dealt, he's going to end up going to the Denver Broncos. Tua doesn't want to go to Houston, and it sounds like Houston doesn't want him either. So it's not going to be like, Deshaun, you go to Miami, Tua, you go to the Texans. Denver also isn't committed long-term to Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock. And Tua's top wide receiver, if he's looking for a little bit of a connection, was Jerry Jeudy in 2018 and 2019 at Alabama, so maybe you could potentially get a little bit more of that connection. Maybe your love connection has fallen off because, let's face it, you got a beer belly, you're covered in acne. Maybe it's because you eat a whole bunch of crappy cereal every morning you wake up. Don't do that to yourself. Go ahead and get some awesome tasting cereal from Magic Spoon. How do you get the hookup, Mitch? Look down below. It's magicspoon.com/chat. That link is also going to be available for you all in the comments and in the description. But why should you try it? It's high in protein. I don't know about you. I get the late night munchies. Sometimes I also get the munchies for other reasons. But this stuff's got 13 to 14 grams of protein. It's low in carbs, only 4 grams of net carbs per bowl. And it is, I'm telling you, sweet and delicious. My personal favorite is frosted. Also the fruity, they're probably the sweetest out of the bunch. If you like chocolate, but you like dark chocolate, I think that's what the cocoa is. It's really good. The peanut butter, you can mix them together. I personally recommend you grab a box of 4 with like the variety pack. And for whatever reason, if you don't like it, you send it back. 100% money back guaranteed. I'm going to say this a few more times on today's show. MagicSpoon.com/chat. $5 off your very first order. Let's go to the next person, and maybe you should go get Magic Spoon if you can't cook. Brandin cooks. It's kind of a connection. I know, it's a little bit of a stretch. But he's going to be the next guy that I talk about here. There's been reports out there that NFL teams are obviously interested in cooks, and last week, Brandin had some interesting things to say about the Texans and their organization and how they're not doing the right things to be able to make adjustments in the game to try to win. I'll just go ahead and say, right now, Houston's probably the worst run organization maybe in all of sports. But also the fact that Cooks wouldn't be, he wouldn't mind being traded. And if you're a team who needs a receiver and you're trying to chase a playoff spot, a division title, a Super Bowl, man, he's got to be the top guy on the list. 45 grabs, 502 yards, and a touchdown. But it's not just this year, and also what he's doing this year with Davis Mills and Tyrod Taylor is impressive. What he did last year also with Deshaun Watson was also pretty good. 119 targets, 81 catches, 1,150 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And if anybody's worried, how's he going to act after he gets traded? If there is one dude that I know knows how to get traded, it's Brandin Cooks. He's already been traded 3 times since 2014. So I'm going to ask you this. Will Cooks get traded for the 4th time? I want you to go ahead and type 1 for yes, or I want you to go ahead and type 0 for no. My top 5 destinations for Cooks, if he is dealt: the Green Bay Packers, the New Orleans Saints, San Francisco 49ers, Los Angeles Chargers, and then maybe goes back to the New England Patriots, or who knows, maybe goes back to the New Orleans Saints. Let me know, guys, where you think Brandin Cooks could potentially get dealt. I'm going to go ahead and say the team that makes the most sense is the Green Bay Packers. They're not going to end up having Devontae Adams. They're not going to have Alan Lazard this week on Thursday Night Football. And you're going to get a real taste of what all those other wide receivers look like on that team. Here's the thing. It ain't good. So go ahead, get Aaron Rodgers, some other dude who you can actually rely on, because Devontae Adams is the only wide receiver on Green Bay with over 185 receiving yards, and Adams has 744. So if you take away that option, dude, it is really, really ugly. And if you're just trying to be like, hey, Aaron, why don't you stick around another year? Brandin Cooks would be a great option to really help that Green Bay team out. Now, while we go through these videos here, I know we're an interactive channel, and you're going to see some things that come on the show that maybe you agree with, maybe you disagree with. Well, here's my opportunity where you can either yell at me, or we can bounce ideas off of each other. My DMs are open on Instagram, so please don't be afraid to go ahead and slide on in there at MitchellRents365. Let me know what you thought about today's video. The next player coming up here, Marlon Mack. Mack requested to be traded earlier this year, and the Indianapolis Colts said, you know what, we're going to do right by Marlon. He deserves to go out. He deserves to be able to find a team, and we're going to go ahead and honor that trade. And when I really look at a lot of these running backs that could potentially get dealt, yes, I did just see Mark Ingram. He ended up going back to the New Orleans Saints, which kind of gives me even more reason to sit here and say, I believe Mack is the best running back on the trade market. A few other names to throw out there: Tyson Williams, Ronald Jones, I think could be a name to think about, but I would probably rather have Mack over all those dudes. And you're going to look at these numbers here like, dude, he's got 28 carries, 101 yards, but Jonathan Taylor's over him. Nyheim Hines is one of the better pass-catching backs in the league, and sure, he's definitely had some injuries. It's one of the reasons why the Indianapolis Colts did end up trading up for Taylor just a year ago, but back in 2018 in 12 games, it's pretty good. 195 carries on 908 yards. 4.7 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns. Sure, that's behind one of the better offensive lines in the entire league, but the offense in general was not very good that year. What about 2019 and 14 games? 247 carries, 1,091 yards, 4.4 yards per carry. I don't know if you're ever going to get an 1,000-yard season again out of Mack, but if you're an NFL team that's like, I don't know, predicated on the run, or an NFL team that has a bad defense and you want to try to keep that defense off the field, or your starting running back is banged up, which there are plenty of teams out there that are in that situation, I really think that Mack could be one hell of a running back, and I have liked this dude since he's come out of South Florida. So you guys can go ahead and let me know, because that's what we do. If Mack is traded, which team goes ahead and they make the move for Marlon Mack? Let me know down in the comments. I know I got some destinations for Mack as well, so come on, get those votes in here. If Mack is traded, which team goes ahead and makes the move for Marlon? My prediction, I'm going to go ahead and say it's the San Francisco 49ers. Why? The 49ers have suffered several, and I mean several running back injuries, and I don't know what it is, if maybe there's something in the water in San Francisco, but man, they've had a lot of injuries at that position. John Lynch also acknowledged his interest in Marlon Mack, which, I don't know about you, I'm kind of interested about that, right? If a GM makes a statement like, okay, he thinks that he could actually be pretty good in Kyle Shanahan's system, which I'll also go on record and say most running backs are going to be pretty good in Shanahan's system. That's the reason, though, that I could see Marlon Mack ending up landing on the San Francisco 49ers. The last player that we're going to bring up here, it is Kyle Fuller. And on my video I did last week, I talked about which players I thought were the most likely to get traded, and number one on my list was actually, in fact, Kyle Fuller. Why? I mean, the Broncos have a lot of talent at the position. He's already been benched this year, and usually it's like bad team plus player that gets benched too. I think when he's actually fully healthy out there on the field and motivated, he can be a pretty good corner. Means, okay, this guy's probably going to end up getting dealt. This season he's got 15 tackles, 2 pass breakups. Now, sure, you could see maybe a potentially like a Bryce Callahan also, but I really think, just 2 years ago, really think about this. 2 years ago, people were saying Kyle Fuller's top 10 cornerback. Goes to the Denver, wasn't really working out too well. And this year, yeah, he just has not really been all that great. 44.8 overall grade. A run defense grade of 68.4. Tackling 50.3. Coverage 40.6. But what about his stats last season? Completion percentage 55.4. Allowed 527 yards, 5 touchdowns, and yeah, he had 1 pick and 8 pass breakups. But at the end of the day, I still think if there's a team out there that needs a veteran corner that's going to try to compete, Kyle Fuller could definitely be a name to keep in mind. So what are some Kyle Fuller trade destinations? I believe the Tennessee Titans, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, those are probably the 2 most common that you're going to go ahead and see. The Baltimore Ravens, Los Angeles Rams, and the Arizona Cardinals. As you can tell, a lot of teams trying to get into the playoffs and honestly, maybe trying to get 1 seeds in their divisions. So what do you guys think here? If Fuller is traded, which team goes ahead and they make the move? There's definitely going to be some interest, and out of all the players that I've talked about, like I said, the player that I'm the most confident that ends up getting dealt is in fact Kyle Fuller. So here's my prediction. Kyle Fuller, you're going to end up going to the Tennessee Titans. Why? Injuries, and on a team that's got a bad secondary, competing for a division title, competing to be a very high seed in the AFC. Caleb Farley out for the season, torn ACL. Christian Fulton, he's on IR right now. He'll be back in a few weeks, but dealing with a hamstring injury. Janoris the Jackrabbit Jenkins. He's been bad. I believe his passer rating against right now is 121. That ain't going to get it done. Again, especially when you look at what Tennessee did last week. They had a good week up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I'm not trying to take that away from them, but can you get better? That's the ultimate goal here is can you get better? So here again are my 5 trade predictions. Deshaun Watson to the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa to the Denver Broncos. Brandin Cooks to the Packers. Marlon Mack to the 49ers. And Kyle Fuller to the Tennessee Titans.